Today on Misunderstood with Rachel Uchitel. I think that people see you surrounded by blackjack tables, women, money, power. I want to understand who you are behind that persona.
If you're pretty and you're on Instagram, people are going to call you an escort. And if you're high strung, people are going to tell you you're on cocaine. Those are the two things.
You're obviously very smart, and I think that is dumbed down a lot in what people see of you, because they mostly only see of like the gambling stuff, and people don't get it, so they just are like, oh, whatever, it's luck.
In the insurance industry, most companies operate with about a 20% profit margin. But my profit margin was reversed. It was more like 82%. And boom, out of clear blue sky, my mom passes away. And I just started looking at life in totality with the consideration that it's not infinite. Life keeps going here, and now she's not a part of it. The people that actually know me will say I'm a good father. That's my biggest flex, my kids. People don't really understand some of the adversity I've had to face with my kids. Last night I was down, I only had 100 grand here. I was down to my last 15 grand, and I kind of like chalked it up like, we're gonna lose 100 grand at the Red Rock.
Every once in a while, I do an interview with somebody and they completely flip the script on who I thought they were. And that's exactly what happened when John Cerasani joined me for a conversation on our show. Most people know John as the larger-than-life guy from Instagram, the entrepreneur, the gambler, the storyteller with over 800,000 followers who tune in for the lifestyle, the wins, the energy. But what I learned in this conversation is that what you see online is only a fraction of who this man really is. Behind the persona is someone who built his life piece by piece with grit, sacrifice, and a level of hustle that you don't often see anymore. John didn't just get lucky, he worked. He built businesses from the ground up. He made smart moves, he took real risks, and he showed up every single day with the kind of determination that cannot be faked. And he believed on the most important thing there is to believe in, himself. Having a conversation with him, I finally got to understand how he did it and why. He gives some of the best business advice I've heard in a long time, not the cliche stuff, but the real lessons that come from falling hard, rebuilding, winning big, and learning exactly who you are along the way. He breaks down how he made his money, how he navigated the highs and the lows of entrepreneurship, and what it actually takes to carve your own path without losing yourself in the process. But what struck me most was the human being behind the brand. John talked openly and bravely about the rumors, the accusations, the viral clips, and the online storylines that people think they understand and choose to talk a lot about without really knowing the truth. And instead of hiding behind the PR spin or playing into the hype, he told the truth, the real truth, because sometimes being misunderstood isn't about controversy. It's about people never taking the time to see the person underneath it all. This conversation made me realize just how layered he is. He's funny, he's sharp, he's self-aware, he's a strategist, he's reflective, and yes, he's inspirational too. This episode is for anyone who's ever looked at someone online and assumed they know the story. It's for anyone building a business, chasing a dream, or trying to tune out the noise long enough to figure out who they really are. It's for anyone who's been misunderstood and anyone who's ready to understand John Cerasani in a way you've never seen him before. I walked away from this conversation really liking him, and I think you will too. So please enjoy my sit down with John Cerasani. John, thank you for joining me today on Misunderstood. I have wanted you to be on the show for a very long time, so it is my honor and my pleasure to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Now that I saw your intro, I mean, if I could get in front of Blagojevich or Cato and make it on the intro, that's my goal in life. So I'm trying to knock it out of the park for you. I'm going to try to knock it out of the park.
Amazing. I love that. Both of those were some of my favorite interviews. They're my favorite people. Great people.
Awesome.
So anyways, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining me from Las Vegas. I think that people see you surrounded by blackjack tables, women, money, power. You're gregarious. You walk into a room, people know that you're there. I want to understand who you are behind that persona. So can you start by like your childhood, where you're from, the family you grew up in, like so we get to know you a little bit?
Sure. I grew up in Schaumburg, Illinois. Anybody that follows me knows I talk about Schaumburg a lot. And My dad was a high school PE teacher. My mom was a Park District preschool teacher, and she actually retired early with disability because she had multiple sclerosis. So that was a big part of my childhood. Watching my mom go through that. But I would say me and my brother were both really good at football, and my dad was a head football coach, so kind of football dominated our family. My brother got a full ride to play quarterback at Wisconsin. I got a full ride to play tight end at Notre Dame.
Wow.
And when you're good at something as a kid, especially me when I was like a foot taller than everybody, I've always been just big, and I was athletic too. So that kind of dominates everything in your life. And what's interesting right now is my son is 17 and he's not big. He takes after his mom. He's not built like me at all or anything. And, he's on the football team. It's fine. He's on a really good football team, but football does not dominate his life. So watching him be able to do all this other stuff, it's almost like I live vicariously through my son. Oh, you're in this multimedia club. Oh, shoot, you're in this, political science group. And all this stuff that I never bothered to do just because it was all football, football, football. It's kind of fun for me. But yeah, man, I went to college, and then after college, I had an injury in college, ended up getting a job in white collar America in insurance, and ultimately ended up leaving that job to start my own company and I gave myself a 2,000% raise. That's what that means.
Right. I want to get into all that, but before you went to college, like, what did you think you wanted to do? Did you want to play professional football? Did you want to be in the business world?
Yeah, so the plan was always for me to play in the NFL. That was always kind of the plan. But I did have a knack very early on for making money. I was always money minded, even just a situation. I would think about like the profitability of like any endeavor. You know what I mean? Okay. The plan was to play football, but when that got taken off of the table, me getting into a sales career, something commission based was not a very far-fetched concept.
Right. Okay. So where did you start working then? What did you study in college?
I studied social policy. Not too many people realize this. So at Notre Dame, I was an undergrad business major, but I ended up transferring to Northwestern and finishing there. And at Northwestern, they actually don't have an undergraduate business school, which shocks a lot of people because they have a very, very good MBA program called Kellogg, but they don't have an undergrad business program. So I transferred to Northwestern for football reasons, and ended up picking the major of social policy, which is cool. I'll find myself using little tidbits sometimes that I learned in sociological classes or things like that here in conversation. But I never went into that as my career. If from a career standpoint, that would have been geared to like running a nonprofit or working for maybe a government agency.
Right. So it's interesting because my ex-husband went to Penn State, played football, thought he was going to be in the NFL, played for like a day for the Oakland Raiders, got injured, went into insurance.
Oh,
and
really?
I feel, which is what he's still in now. And I feel like that at the time was especially what athletes would pivot into this insurance industry. So how did you just do it because you were trying to make money and you thought this was an easy way to make some commission, or like, did you kind of like it?
Yeah, so usually when you hear about ex-athletes getting into insurance, it's a different end of the insurance business. I don't know anything about your ex-husband, but usually it's like, okay, they're going to use their network, start like a Northwestern Mutual agency or whatever, and sell life insurance and whatever to their vast network because they're popular people. They know a lot of people. What I did in insurance was nothing like that. I actually got a job working in the employee benefits arena. So at a young age, 23 years old, I was out presenting health insurance packages to companies with 1,000 employees on why they should use us instead of like Blue Cross or United Healthcare.
Oh.
So it was really cool because at that time there was a lot of like small insurance companies. There's been a lot of consolidation now since, but the company was called Great West Healthcare, and they definitely weren't dominant, and we were competing against companies like Blue Cross. So I learned at a young age how to compete against much bigger companies that maybe look a lot better on paper. And, ignorance is bliss sometimes, man. I look back at it and I'm sitting there doing the sales presentation, believing everything coming out of my mouth. But I'm looking back at it, I was so naive. Like I'm sitting there talking about how great we are. They could go work with Blue Cross for 20% less in premiums. But I was still getting my fair share. And I wouldn't take that back for the world because that company was one of the few at the time. It's probably none that do this now, that hire kids right out of college, train the heck out of us, not only on product knowledge of the industry, but also professional sales skills. And it really enabled me to pivot out and start my own company a few years later.
So when you did that, how did you know that it was time for you to move on your own? How did you have that confidence to say, oh, I could do this?
Yeah. So in insurance, there's a wholesaler. So Great West was a wholesaler, but the intermediaries are what we call brokers, and they're in between us and the client. So the client is like the CFO, the HR director, or the president of whatever corporation. The broker represents them, and then us as the insurance wholesaler, we're really pitching the broker and trying to convince that broker to recommend us to his client. Okay. All ends of the industry are good in different ways. But I made the move to work at one of the biggest brokers in the world, Arthur J. Gallagher, when I was 24 and a half, 25, right around there. And it was the best move I ever made because I'm like, look at me. I got a job at Gallagher. Let's go. And anyone in the industry would know exactly what I mean by this. That's a flex. You're 25. You just got a job at Arthur J. Gallagher. You've arrived, bro. That's a big time job. And once I got there, Rachel, I'm looking around, and it was kind of like the Wizard of Oz. Like, okay, now that we peeled the curtain back, there's nothing really special happening here. like these 40-year-olds and 50-year-olds, I know just as much as them. I'm just as smart as everyone here. And oh, by the way, I'm still working at 5 p.m. on a Friday, working my rear end off, coming in on the weekends. I'm working circles around these guys, and I'm just as smart as them. So over time, what you're getting paid versus what you're bringing in business becomes disproportionate, especially if you believe that you're doing it independently. I was a superstar. I was bringing $800,000 of new business revenue to that organization. I was only getting paid about 140 grand. 140 grand is a lot of money, especially back then. But it turned into this conversation being, wait, are they paying me 140 or am I paying them 660? What are they doing for that 660? And once I started looking at it that way, okay, what are they doing? Well, they're giving me this office. Okay, big deal. Oh, the Gallagher name. I'm getting these meetings because I say I'm with Gallagher. And that actually has a lot of truth to it. But
yeah, the credibility.
It gets you in the rooms. They're going to call me. And that's true. But for me, it didn't really matter because I had started this niche working with like small colleges and universities. And almost these colleges and universities kind of started to feel like if they're with the Gallagher, they're a small fish in a big pond, which is true in a lot of ways. Right. So over time, I'm like, you know what? I got a whole value proposition here that I could do on my own. I went in and asked my company for whatever reason in my head. I thought if I made 180 grand a year, all my issues will be solved. I have the world by the rear end, and I'll be in good shape. And I went in and asked for that raise, and they're very nice, but they basically told me not to let the door hit me in the ass. And I resigned. And wow. Everyone thought I was nuts, man, but it worked out. It worked out for me.
So did you have the knowledge to say, okay, I'm going to ask for this raise. If they say no, I'm going to be confident enough to just start on my own? Or did it take you a couple months to get off the couch and be like, okay, I really need to do this?
I probably could have left about 6 months earlier than I actually did. And it wasn't because I didn't have the confidence. It was more because I was listening to everybody else tell me that it's a bad idea, that I'm never going to be able to compete. Mm-hmm. And I use the term, don't ask a fat guy for dieting advice. Okay. Some 400-pound dude eating donuts all day. Hey, what's your diet plan? I mean, that's kind of a stupid idea, right? Well, that's exactly what I was doing. I'm asking W-2 employees that never did this,
right,
what they thought of being an entrepreneur and starting your own company. Well, it'll never work. Not only do they not think that way.
Who've never taken a risk for anything.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then I realized two things at that point. In retrospect, I realized two things. Number one, they don't have any knowledge to give you because they never did it. But number two, even if they did agree that it's a good idea and you're going to knock the cover off the ball, they don't want to admit that out loud. Because I'm this 26-year-old that's walking around that office looking up to these 40 and 50-year-olds. Everyone loved me because I was like a sponge, taking information. You're smart. Have you ever read Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People?
Yeah.
Okay. So the principles of that book, I apply. I didn't read that book till I was probably 28. I was 26 at the time. But a lot of those principles, isn't it fun when you read that book? You're like, oh, good, I already do that. You know what I mean? And there was a few things that I did where I'd really put people on pedestals if I could get knowledge from them, not in an insincere way either. So, they see me as this young, fun guy that's working his rear end. Oh, John's gonna go get him. Let's go. And oh God, Cerasani came in on the weekends. Well, now it's like, all right, he's gonna go work for himself. Well, wait a minute, hold on. He's probably gonna make a lot more money than me if he does that. Wait a minute, no, we like him and down. So they're never going to admit it out loud that it's a good thing. So that process there probably cost me about 6 months, Rachel. But when I finally pulled the trigger, let's go.
So were you completely on your own, or did you have people that were kind of working with you? And also, could you take some existing clients with you, or you were starting from ground zero?
Couldn't take any clients. They had non-compete laws that are probably a little less. I think they've been challenged now a little bit, but at the time, no. If I'd messed with any of these clients, I would have got sued. There was a few that maybe are a little bit questionable, but honestly, no one ever screwed with me because I left there in such good terms.
Yeah.
That like my old boss was kind of rooting for me a little bit to a degree. So he would have been the one to initiate. Dude, Cerasani, you can't be Cerasani's stealing clients. Let's sue him or whatever. It wasn't like that environment. But if I would have taken my whole book of business, there would have been a problem. I had a couple kind of follow me down the road, not immediately. That's good. But initially, no. However, the non-compete said you're not supposed to be able to work on any prospective clients that your old employer had. Well, for that industry, everyone's a prospective client. How do you define a prospective client? So if they really wanted to mess with me, they could. I did things the right way, though, so we're okay.
Yeah,
I think if I did that now, like it was kind of fun back then, Rachel, being under the radar screen without people like viciously trying to tear you down.
Yeah.
Now, if I say anything that isn't exactly what someone wants to hear, I get basted.
Right. So you end up building a very successful company, one that was bought from you, and you can tell the story that you essentially bought 3 times over, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah.
Can you tell people kind of how you did that? And one thing I really want to hammer home is the fact that you're obviously very smart. And I think that is dumbed down a lot in what people see of you, because they mostly only see of like the gambling stuff and people don't get it. So they just are like, oh, whatever, it's luck or whatever, counting cards or luck, whatever. And the thing is that what strikes me is you have never been afraid to get dirty and to hustle and to like do all the jobs. There are so many kids now that are so entitled, people in general that are so entitled that don't want to learn by experience. They're just are like, oh, I'm above that. And I don't get the feeling that you have ever thought that you were above it. And not that you were below it either, but like just that you needed that knowledge to learn, to take in, to be a sponge, so that when it came at you later in life, you were like, oh, I've got this. I know how to do that. And that's true. Such a really good quality and a skill that not many people take advantage of in learning. So I wanted to point that out because I do want you to give some kind of business advice as you're telling us the story.
Yeah, you got it. I think as I grew my company, it's trial and error a little bit. I'd hire people to do stuff. And because what's the first thing someone asks you? You own a company. It's this big flex. Look at me. I own a company. Well, your neighbor or, your friend or whomever, what's the first question they ask? How many employees do you have? So I'm hiring employees when I don't need employees, where I can just do this stuff myself to like impress my neighbors about all these employees I have. This is stupid. I never really, understood. And I wasn't building the company to sell at that point. So I'll hire this person for 50 grand, this person for 60 grand. For what? I could do the job better than them. And why am I even having them here? Now, once we grew to a critical mass, yes, I did have to hire some people that were, well into the 6 figures as employees, but it was trial and error on the way. And what's really cool about it all for me is that in the insurance industry, for what I did, most companies operate with about a 20% profit margin, okay? 17 to like 22%, okay? And the reason it's that is because you're not an insurer, you're just an intermediary, like a consultant, a broker. So like, why is it only 17 or 22%? Well, because when these companies scale, they hire salespeople. And those salespeople are going to want a large commission. And now you got to give them maybe 40% of whatever commission or whatever revenue they're bringing in. Okay, great. By the way, Gallagher said I said 800 grand. They're only paying me 140. If they were paying me 40% of that 800 grand when I was 26 years old, I probably wouldn't have left there.
Right.
So thank you, Gallagher, for having a crappy pay schedule, because that's, seriously, I never would have left. There's no way I would have left that job if I was making 300 grand. No way in the world. But I'd probably still be working there right now.
Yeah.
Probably not, but I wouldn't have left. So I learned that not only when you hire a salesperson, you got to build resources around them if they're any good too. So now not only am I hiring a person, paying them 40% commission, I also got to be able to flex and say, okay, we got a senior account manager, we got this technology, all stuff in their arsenal that we could offer to compete with companies like Gallagher, that good sales rep wants to work for me instead of my much larger competitors. Well, you start looking at it and it's like, what a freaking, I'm trying not to swear as much, but SHIT show that leads to. Okay. No, screw it. And I trialed and errored a few times. I'm like, why am I doing this? F this. I'm going to sell. I'm going to knock on doors. And I developed a niche working with small colleges and universities. And instead of hiring salespeople, I was a marketer and hired a marketing department. So we're not only having these colleges and universities as clients, we're now going to their trade shows. We're going to their business meetings, the regional ones, the national ones, the local ones, where I meet them over and over and over again. So they keep seeing my name, John Cerasani, John Cerasani, John Cerasani. And now when the time's right, where they want to make a change, I'm on their list of phone calls. And I always presented myself differently than our much larger competitors that have been, hey, we've been around for 100 years. We got 40,000 employees. We got, 150 offices internationally. All right, guys, that's great. How many colleges and universities do they have as clients, though? Do they specialize in just colleges and universities like me? That's my differentiating value proposition. That actually matters to you as the client, because I don't know what their office in frickin' Tokyo is going to do for your account here. It's not going to do anything. So why do they have that in their presentation that they have an office in Tokyo on this account? Why are they talking about 40,000 employees that they have when 39,997 of them aren't going to have anything to do with your frickin' account? Okay. So I had to change that paradigm to the buyer. And once I did that, Rachel, holy cow, it took me a while to polish it. But once it was polished, lights out. Over 100 private colleges and universities as clients in 18 different states. And it was going. And then boom, private equity entered the insurance space. And like the Godfather, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I was 37 years old and I sold the company.
Amazing. What if I told you that the idea that you only get parasites when you travel to some exotic country is flat wrong? Millions of Americans carry parasites right now, often without symptoms. For example, it's estimated that millions in the United States have been exposed to Toxocara, a parasitic worm, yet most never even know it. Parasites do not need a plane ticket. They can enter through tap water, sushi, undercooked foods, or contaminated produce. Some strains live in all stages: eggs, larvae, adults, hidden in your gut, releasing toxins that sabotage your energy and digestion. That's why I'm excited about Parify, Kim Rogers' 30-day full-spectrum parasite cleanse. The kit works by clearing parasites, worms, candida, and heavy metals, targeting parasites in all life stages, supporting gut health, detox pathways, and toxin removal. It's taken orally, daily for 30 days with precise dosing. I'm actually doing it myself right now. I started with the lymph cleanse, then I'm doing the Parify. Want to dive deep? I did a full interview with Kim Rogers, the worm queen herself, where we expose all the myths, understand the facts, and show how to protect your body. Listen to that episode if you haven't already. Meanwhile, go to rogershood.com and use the code Rachel to get 10% off of your order. That's RACHEL for 10% off. Give it a try. Maybe your body's missing link is hiding inside. Let's do this together. Again, it's rogershood.com, ROGERSHOOD.com, and use the code Rachel for 10% off. Okay, so you're 37 years old. What made you finally sell it? Was it the money? I know that at this point, was this when you had lost your mom?
So, yeah. So the model for selling a company before private equity entered the space was to buy a business for 1.5 to 2 times their gross revenue. Okay. So let's say you're bringing in $10 million. Okay. These are fake numbers, but let's say your company brings in $10 million of revenue. They're going to buy your company for 15 to 20 million. Okay. Now that's a good deal if you have a 20% profit margin and you're the owner making literally making only 2 million on that 10 million. And now you can
Right.
sell it for 20 million. Boom. That's not a bad deal. For a guy like me, though, I had a huge profit margin because I never hired these salespeople like I talked about earlier. So my profit margin was reversed. It was more like 82% profit margin.
Oh, wow.
Where the industry, again, is the opposite of that. So for me to sell the company at 2 times gross revenue doesn't make any sense. So if we're at 10 million and I'm making 8 million a year and we could sell the company for 20 million and I'm in my 30s, why the heck would I do that? I'm going to make that in the next 2.5 years. Why would I? And we're growing, by the way. So that don't make any sense. Well, that was the model. Then private equity changed everything. Private equity changed everything. They came in and said, we're not going to buy a company like that with on the gross revenue. We're going to buy it based on a higher multiple of EBITDA, which in this circumstance is the same as profit. So we're going to buy a company for 10 times EBITDA. And I get that phone call. I go, these guys are out of their freaking minds. There is no way they're going to buy the company for 10 times EBITDA. And I told them, I go, guys, you think you know what my profit margins are? You don't. They go, it doesn't matter. We're buying it for 10 times profit. I go, no, you're not. Because in my head, I'm still thinking of that model of the 2 times gross revenue.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a game changer. For everybody else in the industry, it wasn't really, because everybody else in the industry, it was like the same difference. If you're at a 20% profit margin and you could sell it for 2 times gross, the math is the same, where that's the same actually as 10 times EBITDA. So for them, it was kind of the same. But for a guy like me with huge profit margins, it was a game changer. I was in conversations in 2014 with this company that hit me up. We're going back and forth. And we're like, all right, we're really going to do this. We're really going to do this. And boom, out of clear blue sky, my mom passes away. So that kind of, just we tabled everything at that point. And I didn't know if I was going to sell it or not, because like I said, I really did have a cash cow, and I really enjoyed working at doing what I was doing with people I was doing it with. But after my mom passed, I just started looking at things like a little bit differently in life. I'm like, dude, I'm some guy from Schaumburg that was literally making 140 grand a year, 9.5 years later, begging to please pay me 180. And they're offering me money now that I'm really never going to have to work again the rest of my life if I take this. Right. And I just started looking at life in totality with the consideration that it's not infinite. You know what I mean? Yeah. You're only here for a set period of time, which I think anybody that's lost a loved one maybe sees it a little bit differently, because I never really saw it that way. And I never even thought about it. And then when my mom died, it's like, wait, hold on. Life keeps going here. And now she's not a part of it.
Yeah.
We only got so much time here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So. And I've been through that myself. And I think you start to realize like what's important, because for a long time, it's the power, it's the drive, it's the money. And a lot of things fall to the wayside because you're becoming successful, even if it's in the name of taking care of them. Right. I mean, were you married at this time? Your kids were alive. Yeah.
Yeah, but I was not married. We had just gotten divorced. That could also kind of help too. I mean, when I sold the company, my kids were older. But when I started the company, yeah, 2 different things. But yeah, no, my kids, I wasn't married at the time I sold it.
But I mean, I'm assuming it took away time that you could have been spending with your kids because you were working so much.
Oh, totally. Yeah, that was the mindset. I was looking at my 2 kids, and then my mom's gone. It's like, what am I doing? I'm working my rear end off. And then when the numbers came in, where I just did the math on this whole thing, even though I loved the company, I was like, holy cow, let's change things. My daughter was, what was she probably at that time? She must have been, my daughter was like 12 and my son was like 8 at the time.
Right.
So this was a game changer for me in terms of that, for sure.
So you end up selling this company, making an incredible amount of money, but you stay on as an employee and take some stock.
The absolute worst, by the way, is staying there. 5-year employment contract.
Oh wait, I would have thought you'd been like, this is cool because now I still have a job. I like that. You were not like that?
It was cool, and it is cool for the first minute. And then it gets
and then
really
you have
bad.
to report to someone else.
So I was involved in what's called a private equity roll-up, where they didn't just buy my company and operate my company. They were buying my company and other companies like mine and rolling it into one bigger organization. So at first that was great, but over time, you start to realize how much people like animosity is a mother effer, Rachel. People probably know that very well. Yeah. Envy and jealousy. So again, I'm 37 years old. Who else is selling their company? 60-year-olds. Those 60-year-olds, guess what? They have 5 partners. Guess what else? They have 20% profit margins and not 80% profit margins. Okay. So they're coming in. Look at us. We got 70 employees. We're part of this company now. We're gonna reply all on the emails. At all the damn company meetings, we're gonna ask the most questions. We're gonna be look at us, look how busy we are. It's fine, dude. You're probably still working there, bro. Like, like that's cool, dude. But like over time, it's like, dude, what are we doing here? You got to work side by side with these people, and they're like trying to flex on you constantly. And not everybody knows. Not everybody freaking knows the economics of everybody's deal. Right. So all you could really see amongst your coworkers is how big they are and how many employees they had that they brought into the organization. You don't really see like the actual math behind it. But for me, people figured it out over time because I would have like, maybe a holiday party at my condo or something. I have this beautiful condo in the Trump Tower in Chicago. So like little things like that, they'd kind of see. They're on Facebook. Wait, where'd you just go on vacation to? And I'm sitting there with the same job title as them, and they're like, wait, what the hell's going on? Did you come for money? Wait, oh, your dad's a gym teacher? What? Huh? Like that. Like over time, they're like, it turns into like F this guy. You know what I mean?
Right. So you stay on. You had some stock in there. Long story short, it ends up tripling, I think, and you keep making money is the bottom line. And eventually, I'm assuming you get out completely, correct?
Yeah. Yep. So I took 35% of my deal in stock, and my timing was crazy because when private equity firms sell, a lot of times what private equity will do, you either go public one day or you sell it to another private equity firm, a bigger one. And when it sells to a bigger one, it's called an event. And in that event is a liquidation option, usually, where all the shareholders could take some money off the table. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, this private equity firm sells to this private equity firm 2 months after I closed April 30th selling my company, like July 8th or something. We get an email saying, hey, shareholder conference call. We're on this damn conference call. And other people there had been waiting 7 years for this to happen. Literally 7 years. I waited 2 months. Oh, by the way, we're now going to be backed by a different private equity firm, and the stock just tripled as a result of that.
Wow.
So 35% now times 3, that's 115%. So that minority stock is now worth more money than my whole deal combined. And at that point, we were allowed to take half the money off of the table if we wanted to. You had 30 days to make a choice. Well, my lawyer, my accountant, everyone's like, dude, bird in the hand's worth more than 2 in the bush. I go, dude, I got to work here for 5 more years. Like, I got to stay motivated. Like, I wasn't planning on having this money anyway. And by the way, I'm going to have to pay short-term capital gains on it because we just converted my company into buying stock in their company in less than 12 months. So I would have had to pay a much higher tax bracket than the rest of my deal. So I'm like, screw it. Just leave it all in there. Everyone thinks I'm nuts. Well, at 5-year mark, I'm out of here. And at that 5-year mark, they're going to buy me out of that stock. Okay. Well, at year 4.5, this private equity firm that bought us now sells it to a different private equity firm. So I'm literally on my way out the door to leave there. By the way, not getting along with very many at that company at that point. We're all kind of, and largely because I had a lot more money than everybody else, or a lot of the people at least. And that company triples. Again, that stock triples again. So that 115% now tripled again. You follow me? Or
yeah.
The 105% turned into, it wasn't 115, 105, turned into 315%. So now look at all this freaking money I got. And not too many people, this is the part of the story I usually leave out just because it gets in the weeds a little bit. But what was also interesting was that new stock certificate, when we sold the new stock certificate governs how the shares are going to be paid out. And before, it was the day you leave, they buy you out 100%. Well, this new stock certificate was like, no. What we're going to do is the day you leave, we're only going to pay 40%. The next 30% is 12 months from now at fair market value. 12 months after that is another 30% at fair market value. Well, that stock kept going up during those 2 years. So now I had sold the company 7 years earlier, and my net worth is still going up on this damn thing. And actually, it was even longer than that because when I left, it was under some kind of craziness. And we ended up working out lawyers had to get involved. And anyways, they ended up having to pay me for an extra year and a half. So technically, even though I was at that 4.5 year mark, I got paid for another year and a half. And then that was actually considered my last day. And then the 2 years after that with the 40, 30, 30. So I was literally getting paid in 2023. So
oh my gosh. All right. So after all this happened, I mean, I have two questions. What was your relationship with money at this point? Because you had so much you probably didn't know what to do with. But also, I know you like to work. You can tell you like to be involved. You're not just going to sit around and do nothing. So what did you think your next move was going to be?
I didn't know. I started dabbling in venture capital, doing angel investing. And at that time, there was a million deals going on everywhere. Interest rates were super low. So people were just investing money because you could borrow it for almost nothing to invest it. Started throwing my name in the hat on a couple things. And by the way, anybody out there that if you don't have friends and you want to make new friends, or a lot of them, change your LinkedIn bio to say angel investor or early stage venture capitalist. You are going to make so many new friends so fast, let me tell you. And I ended up, it was interesting. Somebody hits me up on LinkedIn because they're just trying to be relevant, really, to be honest with you. They knew I played football. Hey, Aaron Rodgers just started this company. You should get involved. Well, I don't know anything about this space. Aaron Rodgers, yeah, he's involved, but like he's not really running the company. And now I see how these startup companies will use celebrities to put them on the capitalization table as owners to get people to invest. Really, this is exactly what happened with me. But I end up getting in this, becoming really good friends with the founder. He's part of the LA scene. You might know him, actually. He's part of the Los Angeles scene, and he used to be an actor and blah, blah, blah. Before I know it, I'm just some dad from frickin' Schaumburg, like watching Lakers games with like Zac Efron and stuff. I'm like, dude, who am I, right? And it was pretty cool. Now, Rachel, in Chicago and Schaumburg, like, the big dog is like, who's someone good in your network you want to meet? Oh, hey, that guy owns that steakhouse. Oh, hey, that's that guy that owns a couple nightclubs, or this guy owns 3 car dealerships. Dude, you go hang out in LA, bro. That guy owns Kettle One. What do you mean? No, their family started Kettle One.
It's a different level. Yeah.
Yeah, it like literally is. So as I'm going out to LA more and more often, I ended up in these circles, make good friends with a guy that was a childhood actor. His girlfriend at the time, now they're married, actually owns one of the big sports teams there in LA. Dude, all of a sudden, man, I go from this dude, that didn't know what he wanted to do to his life, to being in these rooms with literally billionaires. And I'm being widely accepted by these people, Rachel. And I like to think I don't even know what I like to think, but my opinion is that so many people in LA are full of shit. That here's this guy in Chicago that's actually not full of shit. Oh, he said he was going to throw in 50 grand in this stupid ass freaking startup idea, and he actually followed up and did it. And then people start talking. Oh, hey, that's cool. And now they see you in the room with this person. Then they see you in the room with this person. Boom, 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 boom. And it turns into all these different things. I had a guy, Jaleel White, actually told me this. He's like, dude, it's not the culmination of like one thing you do. It's in totality. And at some point it becomes like exponential.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what happened. And then at the same time, I decided to write a book, and I started like doing a podcast run to promote the book. And at that point, I started to realize I have something kind of going on here with social media.
Right. Up until then, you hadn't done much with it?
Not really. Like,
what year is this you're talking about?
2022. Between 2020 and 2022. Yeah.
Recently. Okay. And as of today, you have like over 800,000 followers on Instagram or something. Yep. Is the book you're talking about called The 2000% Race?
Yep, it's this one here. And how about this for a name drop? The reason I even named it this is one of the things I've noticed that's really cool about like actors and celebrities and just athletes and stuff. They think it's cool to meet business people as much as we think it's cool to meet them. Yeah. At least the ones I meet do, because the reason they're in that room is because they're business minded. At least I'm sure there's a bunch that don't give two shits, right?
Yeah.
But it was actually Zac Efron that said that to me. He's like, so wait, you asked for 180 grand off of 140. That would have been like a 25 or 30% increase. He goes, yeah, I didn't take it though. And he goes, okay, well, what percent raise did you give yourself when you actually ended up on your own? And I had never thought about it in those terms before. And I go like 2,000. He's like, what? And then my other buddy, Ryan Rotman, who introduced us, he looks at me and goes, 2,000%? And then it kind of just caught. And I started name dropping that then in podcasts I was on and everything else. And it turned into this whole 2,000% raise initiative.
And is the book about how you got there and the mindset of being in business?
Yeah, it is. So initially I wrote this book called Paid Training in 2011. Both are available on Amazon. And this book is about entrepreneurship, and it's about, hey, F corporate America, you're a pawn. Work for yourself. They're going to try to convince you can't compete. Sound familiar? And you're able to go and compete. Here's exactly how I did it. And it's filled with really, really good tips. This book was supposed to be just a new version of this.
Right.
But now in 2022, it's going to be my victory lap. Like, hey, I got more to offer you now than I said in this. Because I was, you know, and as I was writing it, I realized this is so much different than everything in that book. And it just kind of morphed into 2,000% raise instead. Now, that said, when young people read both of these, a lot of times young people like this one better because they could feel it, the energy in my voice. You like feel you feel the grit that I was in the thick of it at that point with like a chip on my shoulder, where this is like, hey, I made it. You know what I mean? But both of them are filled with really good tips.
Amazing. We'll put in the show notes later, the both books and links to the books so that people that are listening can get those. So at some point, how the hell did you get into gambling? Is this because you had so much money and you decided you could go waste it in Vegas? Like, tell me the first time you gambled.
Okay, so I've always been good at math. I've always been really good at blackjack and craps. And it was, so I sold my company. Then COVID hits, the world kind of stops during the pandemic. I sell my company, then I do the employment contract, then we go into the pandemic. And I'm sitting there trying to promote my podcast, or not podcast, going on podcasts, promote my book and everything else. Well, I'm talking about entrepreneurship and the freedom of being an entrepreneur. And Rachel, I hadn't even mentioned gambling once. And I was at like 200,000. I call these people my OGs. The first couple 100,000 people, like, were following me only because of entrepreneurship advice. Okay. And then it kind of morphed a little bit into like some lifestyle stuff. But like, it was one post at like 2 a.m. I'm at the Venetian, and this girl I was dating at the time, she wanted to go play out at the regular tables, not in high limit. And I sit at the damn table with her. And because she wanted to play $25 chips. You can't do that in high limit. I'm sitting at the table with her, watching her play these $25 chips, Rachel, at blackjack. And there's a continuous shuffle machine, meaning that it just keeps going. There's no beginning or end of the shoe. And then I see her only getting paid 6 to 5 on blackjack. And then I see her, she tried to call even money when she had blackjack and the dealer had an ace, and they wouldn't let her take even money because the casino is already screwing you on 6 to 5 versus the 3 to 2 payout. So taking even money is actually a bad deal for the casino in that shit, but it's just greed by the casino. And once I see that happen, that they wouldn't let her take even money, I get up, I grab my freaking phone, I'm walking through the casino, and I called that area of the casino Gen Pop, or like general population. I go, guys, they are screwing you guys out here. There is no way you could freaking win. They don't let you do this. They don't let you do that. Blah, blah, blah. And I just like go off, and I had a few drinks in, man. Didn't even look at it, go to bed, wake up the next morning. It's like a 500,000 views.
No way.
And then the comments were everything like, he's right, F Vegas, like people like going off and stuff. And then I realized, holy cow, I got something here because I just spoke reality here. Yeah, a lot of people were like, wait, Vegas does that? No, they don't screw you over. No, literally, guys, they're taking advantage of you if you're not a high limit player. Like, if you bet $100 a hand, you get these rules. If you bet less than that, you get these rules. And these rules are a lot worse. And that's how it came off. And not rehearsed or anything. Most of my stuff's not. And then at that point, I started leaning into the gambling stuff more. And then there were certain milestones that kind of happened that, like kind of like what Jaleel said, like it's the culmination of things.
Right.
The comedian Bert Kreischer did me a really solid thing. He invited me to play in the celebrity blackjack tournament, and I had like literally 220,000 followers at that point. And I literally thought I was going as an audience member. I didn't really know what he invited me to. And no, it's actually hang out and play. And there's like maybe 15 people there. It's like Anthony Pettis, Baker Mayfield, like, Bert Kreischer, Tom Segura, Jason Kelsey. Like that's who I'm with here. Barstool freaking takes a picture of it, posts it. A bunch of that stuff goes viral. Now people are, seeing me as a gambling guy now instead of just like everything else.
Right.
It's fine. It's just fine.
So wait, is there some skill to this, or like, tell me?
Yeah, there really is. People don't like to think that, but there is. There's ways to play blackjack where you could really reduce the edge that the house has on you to less than 1%. It's like 0.26 of 1%. Okay. Once you do that and you play, it's called perfect basic strategy, perfect optimal strategy. Some mathematicians and actuaries put this thing together back in the 1950s, but a lot of people don't bother because they just want to go with their gut.
But are you saying like don't hit on, if they're showing a 5 or whatever? I mean, is that what you mean by that? Okay.
Yeah, it's all based on expected value outcomes for the long haul. So if you play it perfectly, here's when you should split, here's when you should double down. It's based on what your 2 cards are and what the dealer is showing as his or her up card.
What about the outcome of people after you that are hitting, or, taking away cards that the dealer should be, busting on their own?
So that's a misnomer. So a lot of people think people are screwing up the deck, and they are. If it screws you up, because like, hey, if this guy hits on a 14 and the dealer was showing a 6 and he gets a 10 and that 10 would have busted the dealer, you see it. That just screwed us up, and you hate that guy. You get pissed. Yeah. But the reality is him taking that hit could have helped you as well. There's really no way to know, what I mean? So people screwing up the cards for you, yeah, it sucks. But mathematically, in the long run, it's not going to matter. You're just going to notice it when somebody does that, and you're going to get pissed at them. So you don't like, a lot of people don't like to play with people that don't play what we call by the book. Right.
Okay. So there's no counting cards. There's no gut feelings. This is just a mathematical thing, and you're following by the book.
So counting, yes, but a lot of people know what I just said. I'm playing basic strategy. The differentiator for me is the money management piece. So what I look at is say, hey guys, listen, what do you have control over? You have control over how much you're going to bet and how long you're going to play for. Okay. Rachel, if me and you were like, go into the hallway right now and flip heads or tails, it's 50-50, right? Mm-hmm. But if I said one of us gets to pick how much money you're going to bet and how many times we're going to play, or just going to end it or stop, or you can just decide when we stop. Would you want to be that person, or would you want me to be that person? You'd want to be the person that has the ability, that option, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on a calculator, that doesn't show. They would still say it's 50-50 game. On the calculator, you know what I mean? On a calculator, that doesn't show anything. Mm. Okay, but we all know that's an advantage. So if you could be disciplined enough to stop when you're up, but also bring enough money with you to survive the ups and downs. Because in blackjack, it's just like flipping a coin. You might bet on heads, and he might get 10 tails in a row. Well, most people didn't bring enough money to survive that variance, and now they're out. Okay? So you bring enough money, don't try to triple it, try to win 30 or 40% of it. And then once you do, make a little bit of a run. And then if you start giving something back, just stop. All right? And I call that the Cerasani rules. It's just a pamphlet that I have available. Actually, I don't know if you can get it at this moment, but it goes over that. And once people read this, it changes your entire paradigm. And a lot of people don't want to hear it. You know why they don't want to hear it? Because they're betting $200 a hand. They're going to Vegas with $2,000, and they're wondering why they lose the whole $2,000 literally every time they go. Well, guys, because you didn't bring enough freaking money.
Well, or would you suggest to someone like that they should bet smaller, or that, answer that first.
You should have 100 times whatever your betting increment is. So whether that means you're going to bring more money or reduce your bet, your bankroll should be 100x of whatever you're betting. So if you're betting $100 a hand, you should bring 10 grand. I'm going to tell you right now, people that are betting $100 a hand don't bring 10 grand. They bring like 3 grand, and that's why they lose it.
Got it. And is there a strategy as to if you're down by a certain point that you just say to yourself, all right, I'm done for the night and I'll come back?
Yeah. I look at it as a war. Okay. So when I go to Vegas, I'm there Thursday to Monday, and it's a war. Okay. We're going to lose some battles along the way. All right. So this session, hey, dude, we just lost. Get up, dust yourself off. Don't go on tilt and make this worse. Okay. You brought enough money where you have time to recover. Okay. A lot of people, it's hard to do because they either live in Vegas or they go to their local casinos. I'm going to tell you guys right now, you have literally no chance of winning at local casinos. And the reason is because it's a finite time you're actually there. Dude, Rivers Casino in Chicago has my freaking number. And the reason they have my freaking number is that I'm only there for 3 hours. So when you're down in a session, you're now trying to make that money back. And if it doesn't go your way, it doesn't freaking go your way. Whereas if I'm in Vegas for 3 days, hey, I got till tomorrow to bring this.
Yeah.
I know, man. I got and that's why it's hard to win at local casinos. So I always say you should do a 3 or 4 day trip. Understand that you're going to lose some battles along the way, but when you leave Vegas and get back on that flight, follow these rules. And ultimately, if you're up $1 more than you came with, you won the war. So that's how I look at it.
Would you ever play slots?
No, no.
Okay. We don't have to go further than that. Okay. What's the most money you've ever won playing blackjack in one day?
260 grand.
Okay. What's the most you've lost?
About that. Yeah, about that. Well, 24 hours ago or last night, I was down. I only had 100 grand here, and I was down to my last 15 grand. And I kind of like chalked it up, like, dude, we're gonna lose 100 grand at the Red Rock. I'm at the Red Rock right now, and ended up making it all back. So no, there's been plenty of times where here's the way it works for me, Rachel. The way I play, I'm going to win 40 grand. I'm going to win 70 grand. I'm going to win 80 grand. I'm going to win 120. I'm going to win 20. I'm going to break even. I'm going to win 30. There's going to be a bunch of wins. And then once every about 6 months, boom, the cards just went terrible and you lost your entire credit line. My credit line's 250. So if I blow through that credit line, I kind of just have it in my head. This is going to happen once every 6 months. I try to avoid it. At one point, it didn't happen for like 4 years. And it was like this crazy run I was on where I literally didn't lose in 4 years. But now it's more. Ever since September of 24, I lost 250 grand at the Win. And you would have thought like my dog died or something. It was the first time I lost in literally like 4 years. It sucked. And then it happened again in March at Caesars in March of 25. And I started to realize, okay, you know what, dude? The way I'm gambling, as much as I'm playing, this is going to happen every 6 months. So you just dust yourself off, and that's the way it goes.
Right. You spent a lot of time at different casinos in Vegas, especially. But what are your thoughts on casino comps these days? When I used to work there, these were the guys that, had a lot of money to spend, had a big credit line, were out there losing, winning, whatever it was, but they were getting comped for everything. They were getting the most gorgeous rooms at the top hotels. They were getting drinks. They were coming to our nightclub. I ran Tao at the time, which was the number one nightclub in the world. And we were taking in the comps that were, they were getting tables for $10,000 to $30,000 comped for them. So can you explain comps now?
Yeah, so you're really not getting a comp at that level unless you're a super high roller. Not only a super high roller, but a super high roller that's losing as well. I've learned the hard way really this last probably year and a half that they don't like winners in Vegas, and duh. Well, you don't really think about it because most people don't win. You go to a casino and you win like 10 times in a row. Everything's gonna start to change for you big time. I'll tell you, you just said Tao. Venetian's been very good about it. Red Rock, where I'm at's been very good at it. I've been to Venetian probably 20 times. I've lost once. I'm at Red Rock right now. Been here 12 times, lost 0 times. Okay. Neither of these two places took anything away from me from a comp standpoint. There are certain other places that have basically told me not to come anymore because they just don't want to hear it. One of them, Seminole Hard Rock down in Florida. Which sucks because they have a brand now where the Seminoles bought all the naming rights for Hard Rock. So there's a Hard Rock in Chicago right by my house that I was going to. I have a really good relationship with these people there. I can't go there anymore either. Casinos typically are not going to like admit that they don't want winners there. That's not something that they want to publicly have out there. So they might like pretend it's about something different than it actually is. They don't really have to give you a reason when they tell you not to come anymore. But I'm dealing with some stuff right now with Hard Rock actually that I'm appealing. Hopefully they change their mind on it. I'll give Hard Rock credit. A lot of these casinos just ban you and tell you just get a letter, don't come, or we're going to arrest you. Hard Rock actually has an appeal process, and I wrote a written appeal to them. So I'm hoping they change because I really like going to Seminole Hard Rock down in Miami. Is nice. Have you been there?
No, I haven't. But
really nice.
I want to know. Well, I have been there, but like to the where you can go see a concert or something.
Okay.
But I want to understand. Well, first of all, I want to say one thing. I had a client, Sir Philip Green, when I worked in Vegas, one of many, who always played at the Wynn. I brought him over to the Bellagio and he lost a bunch of money there. And I wake up one morning to a knock at my door. It's a guy in a Rolls Royce, the head of the casino, essentially. And he brought me the most gorgeous Rolex you've ever seen as a
Oh,
thank
nice.
you to me for bringing Philip Green, who had lost like $1.7 million the night before, which
Yeah,
I thought was crazy that
it is
like
crazy.
I was
It
getting
is crazy.
rewarded for
Yeah.
bringing a client who lost money. And
That
I
makes me
just,
so. It makes me so freaking mad. Like, yeah, no,
yeah.
that's how it works, and it sucks. It like literally sucks, man. And that's the thing. If he would have won, this is the misnomer about Vegas. All right, everyone thinks, oh, it's not about actual wins and losses. It's about what they call theoretical losses, which
Uh,
means like what's your average bet, how long you played for. So everyone's going to tell you comps and how you're thought of and how the hosts are compensated. Everyone's going to tell you it's about theoreticals, meaning that if I play blackjack at $5 grand a hand for 4 hours, theoretically over those 4 hour period, I should lose X. The math would suggest that. But then there's actual losses, okay? I'm going to tell you right now, if that guy won $1.7 million, even though his theoretical is the same, because the math would have suggested that, you ain't getting that Rolex. You ain't
right,
getting that freaking Rolex. And that guy getting comped 30 grand for bottle service at Tao ain't getting comped if he's winning, okay?
right.
Now, the exception is when it's a new person that comes and hey, this guy won 2 million, but you know what? We're going to take care of him. We're going to make sure we get that 2 million back over the next year. If they don't get it back though, and they realize this person's a tight player and they're never going to get it back, those comps go away so freaking fast, like so freaking fast. And I'm not even as big of a player. You talk about Wynn and Bellagio, those kinds of guys that are getting the villas and stuff. Well, I get a villa at the Wynn, but like the really nice ones and stuff, these are guys with $1 million, $2 million credit lines.
Yeah.
I have a 250 grand credit line. And I do that on purpose just in case the wheels fall off that, hey, you lost 250. Okay. But, we're not going to hang ourselves. You know what I mean? If I lost 2 million, even though nothing really would change in my life, I would not be very happy, dude. I would like really be up. I would be really be mad. So,
Yeah.
so for me, like Hard Rock, for instance, I won there so consistently over time that like it really doesn't even put a dent in their bottom line. Hard Rock Miami will have somebody come in and drop 3 million on any given weekend, but they're going to be mad at a guy like John Cerasani that's up, probably 800 grand over 4 years or whatever. I'm up on him, but it's not the 800 grand. It's the fact that I've been there like 20 times and barely and lost once. Okay, we're never gonna get the money from this freaking guy. Like, and that's how they look at it. Versus, some guy wins 3 million. They don't have a problem with that guy. He comes a
Yeah.
few more times and wins 3 million again. You're gonna see that guy banned like that. Like
But
that.
can the casinos just ban you because of that, or they have to give you a reason that makes sense, not just, oh, you're up and you're taking
They
money?
don't. They don't give you any freaking reason. They're out of their freaking minds. Rachel, like, listen. Well, I don't want to say too much because I want Hard Rock. Because there's been a trickle effect from Hard Rock banning me with now some other casinos. Because then they go, wait, Hard Rock ban them? Why'd they ban them? So I'm kind
And
of
right, let's talk about that because there have
yeah,
been rumors that you've been
yeah,
banned from a bunch of casinos. So explain that. Explain if it's for a specific reason or because you're winning.
yeah. No, it's because I'm winning. But the issue is, like I said, nobody wants to go and put it out there that they're not letting people come because they win. Nobody would want that out there.
Yeah.
So the rumor started that I got banned from Hard Rock, which is true, which hopefully they're going to overturn it. But then a third party started a rumor that it had to do with me promoting a illegal sports gambling website on social media. And first of all, I have an international audience, and you said how many followers I got. I got probably 200,000 overseas in different countries. Okay, so if I put a platform on my social media that's not regulated in the United States, and I say check legality where you're at, I don't think I'm doing anything wrong. Okay, and especially if they're not even paying me, and I have a relationship with a marketing agency that we work something out to post some stuff. Okay, well, if I want to get rid of John Cerasani and I see that, okay, let's make it about that then. Let's get rid of him for this reason. And it just doesn't have any teeth to it, Rachel, because other influencers that are promoting these exact same platforms and websites are in these casinos that are not banned. So to pretend like I'm banned for that reason is like, oh, okay, it has nothing to do with me winning all the time. Like, what if I was down $1 million? Would you have decided this? Of course they wouldn't. And you got like big influencers that are way bigger than me that are out there doing deals with these exact same websites. You know, I'm not going to say names because I don't want to like pretend I'm talking smack about anybody, but it's not hard to find. So Hard Rock banned me. I think they're going to overturn it, hopefully. I really enjoy going there. And, you know, a couple of casinos have just reacted to Hard Rock banning me and been like, well, wait a minute, don't come right now. And a lot of it has to do with the nature of Las Vegas right now with the Nevada Gaming Commission. The Nevada Gaming Commission did not look good about a year ago because of Resorts World and MGM was letting known what they call undesirable or unsavory characters in their casinos. If you're a known drug dealer, if you're a known criminal, like this guy, you know, he's not involved in this, but this guy named Joey Merlino in Philadelphia he was a mob boss back in the day in Philadelphia. Now he has a podcast. He's a really funny guy to watch. He's a good follow. That guy can't set foot in any casinos. He didn't do anything to the casino, but he can't because he's a known freaking mafia guy. That's why he can't. So when known people were gambling and the gaming board was happening right under their nose, they came and find the heck out of Resorts World, find the heck out of MGM, and they said, hey, listen, that's going to be a drop in the bucket if anyone does this stuff again. So now you got all these compliance departments at casinos scared shitless right now, really scared of their own shadow. They don't want anything to come up. Oh, wait, illegal gambling? What's going on? And then they hear that. They're like, whoa, don't come in right now. Don't come in right now.
Right.
But like for the Wynn, for instance, you know, their compliance people wanted to look into something. I'm like, dude, what are you guys even saying? Well, they said, you know, man, let's do a KYC on you, a background. KYC stands for Know Your Client. And they did a full diligence on me. 3 years of tax returns, not just like the freaking highlights or the abstracts. They looked at the whole document. And I own a lot of stuff. My tax returns are 600 pages each. They were looking at bank statements and everything. Normally, I'd be like, go F yourself. Why am I to jump through these hoops to go gamble at your freaking casino where you guys have an edge over me? I'll go to another casino that doesn't make me do this. But I wanted to go through the process with Wynn just in case anybody says crap to me. Hey, call Wynn Compliance. They looked into me fully. If you want to talk about rumors and hearsay, go ahead. And by the way, I don't give a shit if I come to your casino or not anyway. It's just FYI. There's other casinos that, you know, could think for themselves and not listen to bullshit. But, who's letting you play? Oh, the Wynn? You ever heard of the freaking Wynn? Is their compliance department pretty much the gold standard? Yeah, it pretty much freaking is. And they have no problem with me. So listen, man, people could talk shit all they freaking want. You know who talks shit, Rachel? The people that already don't like you anyway. Okay? Now they got something. They already didn't like you. Right. Anybody with a brain that hears John Cerasani got his money illegally, like there's no credence. No one actually believes that. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so.
Well, you bring up a good point, though. Do you think that people are looking at the casinos more now, too, because of this mainstream story with Ohtani and Matt Boyer and all the things going on there? And what are your thoughts on that situation? I heard from what he says is that the feds are now looking more into casinos and what's going on there.
Well, for sure. The Ohtani and Matt Boyer thing is what did it. That's what I'm talking about. That's what the Resorts World and MGM, it was all part of this whole thing. And the Resorts World was doing something beyond, like, Matt Boyer's wife was his casino host. So his wife's getting paid on losses. And then they had, like, allegedly, I don't really know anything about it other than what I've read, but like casino hosts and like illegal bookies, like we're sharing information of players going back and forth. I mean, this is pretty bad stuff. Right. You know what I mean? So the message has been made clear with all this stuff. And now recently, it had nothing to do with that. The FBI cracked down on Chauncey Billups and the illegal poker game and then the fixing game. So now that's on the horizon too. So somebody goes and starts a freaking rumor about somebody and, oh, by the way, that John Cerasani is a big loudmouth on Instagram and, you know, F this guy. You know what? Boom, let's run with this. And that's kind of what's happening. But I got to tell you, Rachel, who gives a shit? Who effing cares? Like I started defending myself a little bit with this stuff when I first started hearing that from people. I'm like, dude, who gives a shit, dude? What do you even tell you? Like, go look at these 10 influencers' pages. They've promoted the same thing. And I'm actually responsible about this shit. I talk about, hey, this isn't legal everywhere. Hey, I get perks and benefits associated with this money, where you got other assholes out there using fake money, promoting freaking 17-year-olds to go to illegal websites. Like, I don't do any of that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just funny how something snowballs one direction and people could just start going like this. But really, it's a function. I think the general public doesn't give a shit. I've tried to make a couple posts talking about this, Rachel, and the general public, I don't think they care. Or if they hear something like, okay, big effing deal, who cares?
Yeah.
The problem is the compliance departments right now give a shit. And it's all a function of everything that went down in the last year that has obviously nothing to do with me, but it's more like, hey, we're going to err on the side of conservative right now.
Got it. Okay. On October 30th, at Goat Gambling Gains posted a viral reel. Do you know what I'm about to say? Steve Will Do It scammed after inviting John Cerasani on stream to gamble. It hit 2.5 million views. What really happened?
Go gambling. Those guys are hilarious. And if you look in the damn comment section, I commented on it. And the guy that runs that page put a fish with a hook saying that I just got baited. And yeah, that's funny that you brought that up. Me and him were playing together at the Red Rock 3 years ago. Oh my God. They clip farmed a clip. And I was drunk. And anyways, me and Steve had a deal set up. It was posted on his live stream on Kick or Rumble or whatever he was using. And we had a deal set up. And it was that I was going to front the 40 grand and then we were going to split the profits. And we played together. Well, the plan wasn't to lose the 40 freaking grand. Okay. So then we didn't even talk about it. Just immediately he takes 40 grand off. We keep playing with each other. We turn that 40 grand into like 50.
Mm.
Well, Steve wants to give me my 40 grand back, which most people don't realize that based on the clip that's what happened. And like, I was trying to like kind of check with him and make sure he's okay with that, because we didn't talk about what should happen in this scenario. Because the deal was I brought 40 and we're going to split the profits. Not we're going to lose 40 after we're going to scramble. But it was us playing together the whole time. We lost my 40. We took his 40 and made 50. It was us playing. And he was giving me the 40 grand back. And I was trying to talk to him like in code, like, how do you want to handle this? Are you sure you're okay with this?
Right.
Because I didn't know if he wanted his audience to know that I put the 40 grand in initially. Okay, I didn't know if like he wanted them to not know. I didn't know what I didn't know what he shares with them or doesn't share with them or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was kind of talking to him in the code on how do you want to handle this? Well, people take that freaking clip and are somehow thinking like that, and then they put a headline, Steve puts in an extra 40 grand and Cerasani takes it from him, or whatever, however they positioned it.
Yeah.
It made it look like I scammed the guy out of 40 grand. He's never thought that. He's never done anything. And if you know who he is, it's kind of like, he kind of has like a little bit of an awkward demeanor a little bit. So as we're doing this, I'm like this big guy, like hovering over with him on his shoulder. And it looks like I'm like, pushing him to give me his money or something.
Right.
So his page is filled with a bunch of dudes, man, that, I mean, I never really understood the gravity of morons on the internet until I saw some of these guys like in these comments. I'm like, so what are you guys even suggesting? That I stole 40 grand from? Like, what do you guys think happened? Then I'll get DMs. Give Steve his 40 grand back. I go, what are you guys talking about? It's the craziest stuff, Rachel. It's literally freaking crazy. The bad part about it, though, is, listen, I'm at the last 30 days on Instagram, I'm at 56 million views. Okay. My page is like going lights out. Mm-hmm. So what happens is, they see that clip over there. They maybe saw one of my viral reels and didn't have an opinion about me. Then they see that and they think they're protecting Steve because they've been following him for 10 years. Bro, Steve's not saying that. Steve doesn't think that. That wasn't on his page. Did he post that or did some meme page post that? Come on, bro. And that's literally what happened. So whatever. I make a reel explaining this and it's like, my followers are like, who the fuck Steve Will Do It? What are you talking about, John? And then the Steve Will Do It followers that actually follow both of us are like, no, you scammed them. Like, fuck you guys, dude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But so that brings me, though, to this part where I want to know, you now have so many followers and they love you or they hate you, based on what you post. And as I know, difficult. I mean, for me, I mostly try and post about my show and the clips because I don't like giving too much of my life away because it opens my comments up for people to be like, oh, fuck you, or oh, you're a little bitch, or whatever they say. And, we're human. Sometimes it hurts. And so I don't like doing that. So you can be polarizing. You show that you're successful. You're obviously handsome. You are gregarious, like I said before. And then you show women all the time and they're all different. So it's got to poke people in the eye a little bit. Do you care?
I don't care, and I just looked. I got to actually catch a plane here in a little bit. But
I know, I saw.
But
Two more questions.
Okay, yeah. So just real briefly on that, the whole women thing was a function. I was actually, as my page was blowing up, I was dating this girl. We're not together anymore. She's a pretty attractive girl. And I started to notice that when she's in my videos, they do pretty well. You know what I mean? So, and then we broke up. So as like just a function to kind of keep that general feel, I'll invite like just girls I'm friends with or something. And that always goes nuts because people call them escorts and everything. There's two things are certain. If you're pretty and you're on Instagram, people are going to call you an escort. And if you're high strung, people are going to tell you you're on cocaine. Those are the two things that, it is what it is. Neither
it's not like you're treating these women badly or anything. That's completely misconstrued. Obviously.
No, that's definitely misconstrued. And no one really ever even alleges that too. Some things have been taken out of context where people have said that. I go, what girl has ever said that about? No one's ever said that about me. And it's just, people say they think that, but there's never been a girl that actually says that about me.
Right. Obviously.
It doesn't happen.
Okay. To wrap this up, what's next for you? I mean, I know that the gambling thing, now that I hear all this, is just like a side hustle. It's fun. It's given you a whole platform now to talk about, but are you going to pivot back into the business world? Are you going to do something different? Are you going to just stay within, this whole blackjack, platform?
I'm gonna probably just keep doing what I'm doing. I put myself in a position where this influencing stuff's fun. I've brought my daughter into it now, where she's getting popular. That's probably my biggest thing right now. My daughter, she's done 3 years of college. She's never really been like a college. So we start talking. It's like, stage up. You're going to get a job after college? What are you going to do here? Like, she's not going to go sit at a desk. And people tend to like her as I put it in my post. So now she's got her own little thing going on, and she's getting like deals set up with different. The one thing about the online influencing space is there's a lot of money being thrown around right now in the gambling realm. And there's not very many, attractive young ladies. Yeah, there's not many females, period, especially like a younger, attractive girl. So my daughter's like posting stuff with her and her friends at the club, playing like online gambling and posting, and they're getting paid for it. You know what I mean? It's kind of a cool thing for her.
Yeah. And beautiful girl. I will tell you that. All right. Last question. What do you want people to understand about you beyond the bets? Like, what's the through line that connects it all for you?
Listen, I talked about those 200,000 people that were following my page that I consider the OGs. They already know this. I'm not misunderstood with them. The people I'm misunderstood with are the people that just come across me and they think they know me that really don't. And the people that actually know me will say I'm a good father. That's my biggest flex, my kids. People don't really understand some of the adversity I've had to face with my kids. Raising both of them is probably my number one thing. And that really has been a function of so many other things. Like this gambling stuff, what I talk about, okay, now my daughter could get into it. I just set her up for it. Okay, why did I sell my company? Well, because I'm looking at my two kids and looking at my mom that passed away. Okay, if they're not in the picture, I'm probably not going to sell the company. I don't got any. What do I need spare time for? You know what I mean? So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Amazing. Well, I like you. I think you're great.
Thank you.
It's been an honor to have you here. I can't wait to see what you do in the future, and let people know one more time where they can buy your book, how they can follow you, your books.
Yeah. So if you go to 2000percentraised.com, 2000, the word percent, and then the word raised.com, I kind of treat that page like a link tree almost. It's all my stuff's on there. So both of my books are on Amazon. Instagram's kind of where I live though. Most of my stuff's on Instagram, John Cerasani.
Amazing. John, thank you so much. I hope to see you next time I come to Vegas.
All right. Thanks, Rachel. I got to run. I'll text you.
Have a safe flight.
All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you so much for listening to Misunderstood. I'm your host, Rachel Uchitel. Please be sure to subscribe to the show and give us a 5-star rating and review. You can support the show by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/misunderstood with Rachel Uchitel. Do you have ideas for the show or want to reach out? Email us at info misunderstoodpodcast@gmail.com. That's spelled MISS understood. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.